A modern life moves at a relentless pace, leaving our sense of composure far behind. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What if you could choose a color of calm, no matter the chaos swirling around you? Stoicism provides a complete system for building that unshakable inner stability. This is a guide to the core principles and daily practices that help shape true resilience. You will learn a timeless method for maintaining your peace through any uncertainty. How is it possible to not just endure rapid change, but to thrive within it? And what single mental shift can transform your entire experience of stress? When you feel the world speeding up, where does your mind instinctively go? The first step to composure is a simple but profound division of your entire world. Stoics insisted we rigorously separate what is within our control from what is not. Our own judgments, our values, our desires and aversions, and the actions we choose to take, these are our domain. Everything else, from the weather to the stock market to the opinions of other people, ultimately lies outside it. This is the dichotomy of control. The philosopher Epictetus began his entire manual for life with this very idea, stating that some things are up to us and some things are not. Until we understand this distinction, he taught, we will remain frustrated and troubled. Anxiety flourishes when we exhaust our energy trying to command the uncontrollable, especially during periods of rapid change where so many external factors are in constant motion. Consider a sudden market downturn that impacts your investments. You cannot control the market's movement, but you can control your assessment of the event. You can control whether you react impulsively or respond with a reasoned strategy. You can control the lessons you take from the experience, or picture an unexpected travel disruption that strands you in an airport. The cancelled flight is outside your control. The airline's policies are outside your control. Yet your reaction, your patience, your decision to use the time productively or to become upset, these choices remain firmly in your hands. The power of this practice lies in its reorientation of effort. It directs your focus away from the storm you cannot calm and toward the helm you can still grasp. So bring to mind one situation currently causing you stress. Now mentally draw a line down the center of it. On one side, list every element that is outside your control. On the other, identify the few things that are truly within it, your judgments and your forthcoming actions. This act of categorization is not passive acceptance, it is the active beginning of reclaiming your inner stability. What if every obstacle was not a barrier but part of the path itself? This is the heart of the Stoic practice known as Amor Fati, a love of one's fate. It moves beyond simple acceptance into a deep embrace of every experience, especially the challenging ones. When rapid change feels like a series of disruptions, Amor Fati is the mental shift that lets you see those moments as essential ingredients for your growth. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius often returned to this idea in his private writings, reminding himself to welcome whatever life brings. He wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This is not passive resignation. It is the active, even cheerful, choice to see every circumstance as fuel for your own inner strength. History offers powerful examples of this principle in action. After an unexpected turn in his life led him away from his military path, the 16th century philosopher Michel de Montaigne retreated to his library. What might have been seen as an ending became the starting point for his life's work. In that quiet space, he began writing the essays that would reshape Western thought, transforming personal challenge into a lasting legacy of human insight. His journey was not what he had first envisioned, but by embracing it fully, he discovered his true calling. This is the transformative potential of Amor Fati. It reframes the very nature of hardship, asking not why is this happening to me, but what can this make of me? Think of a recent difficulty you faced, perhaps a professional disappointment or a personal conflict. Instead of viewing it as a pure loss, can you reframe it as a hidden opportunity? What specific quality did it invite you to practice? Did it call for greater patience, or perhaps a deeper well of courage you did not know you possessed? By loving your fate, you are not approving of the hardship itself, but you are claiming its power to shape you into someone more resilient and more complete. How does this current challenge look from the perspective of your whole life, or even from a cosmic scale? This is the essence of the Stoic exercise known as the view from above. It is a deliberate mental shift, a way of zooming out from the intense close-up of your immediate problem to see it within a much wider frame. When you feel overwhelmed by a sudden change or a pressing difficulty, this practice reduces its perceived size by placing it against the backdrop of your entire existence, or even the vast flow of time itself. Marcus Aurelius frequently engaged in this very meditation. He would remind himself to look at things from above, to observe the bustling cities and the countless lives, and to see the brief, fleeting nature of all human affairs. He noted that from this elevated vantage point, the dramas and anxieties that consume us appear small, even trivial. The goal is not to dismiss your experiences, but to put them in their proper proportion, draining them of their excessive power to cause you distress. Imagine you are facing a stressful work deadline. The pressure feels immense, the hours are counting down, and the outcome feels critically important. Now try to see this moment from the perspective of your entire career. This single project is one event among thousands. In 5 years, will you even remember the specific anxiety of this particular week? From the height of your whole life, this deadline becomes a single dot on a very long timeline. This shift in perspective does not make the work unimportant, but it does loosen the grip of the panic surrounding it, allowing you to engage with clarity instead of fear. The practice transforms the weight of the moment into something you can actually carry. Take a worry you are holding right now, close your eyes for a moment, and visualize your life from a great height. See the full span of your years with all its joys and its challenges. Now place this current concern within that vast landscape. Notice how its intense, urgent presence seems to soften and find its true size. This is not about avoiding your responsibilities, but about meeting them with a calm and steady mind, anchored in a wisdom that sees everything in its place. We are often told to avoid negative thoughts, to stay relentlessly positive in the face of uncertainty. But Stoicism presents a surprising alternative. A tool of immense strength found not in avoidance, but in a clear-eyed form of preparation. This is the practice of Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of challenges. It is not about expecting the worst to happen, but about removing the worst of its power by meeting it in your mind before it ever arrives. The Stoic philosopher Seneca captured the essence of this practice perfectly in his letters. He wrote that we should anticipate not that something might happen, but that it certainly will happen. By doing so, we ensure that we are not overwhelmed by its sudden arrival. He advised his friend Lucilius to rehearse in his mind the possibility of changing fortunes, shifts in circumstances, and other hardships. The goal was not to live in fear, but to inoculate the mind against the shock of fortune's unexpected turns. This mental rehearsal makes the actual event, should it occur, feel familiar and manageable. You have already walked that difficult path in your thoughts and have a map for navigating it with virtue. Think of a project you are deeply invested in at work. Instead of solely visualizing its success, take a few moments to seriously contemplate its potential for a different outcome. What if the proposal is not accepted? What if the client chooses another direction? Mentally walk through that scenario. How would you respond? Would you react with frustration, or would you gather the lessons from the experience and pivot with dignity? The focus is not on the setback itself, but on your capacity to respond to it with reason and integrity. This preparation does not attract misfortune. It builds a resilience that renders difficulty far less frightening. Tomorrow holds a conversation you are nervous about, or a presentation you feel might not go as planned. Before you sleep, briefly and calmly consider that outcome. Do not dwell on the anxiety, but on your own reasoned response. See yourself listening carefully, speaking with clarity, and maintaining your composure regardless of the other person's reaction. By rehearsing your virtue, you are not preparing for defeat. You are fortifying your inner strength so that no external event can truly breach its walls. Your first thought about an event is not a fact, it is just an impression. This is the core of a crucial Stoic skill, a momentary pause that creates a world of difference between reaction and response. Between the external event and your internal feeling lies a small but powerful space, and within that space is your freedom. The Stoics called this the discipline of assent, the act of withholding your automatic agreement from those initial, often raw, impressions that flood your mind. Composure is not the absence of these initial feelings, it is the product of examining them before you let them shape your actions. The philosopher Epictetus taught that we are troubled not by events, but by our judgments about them. The event itself is neutral until your mind assigns it a value, until you give your assent to a particular interpretation. That critical email from a colleague is just information, a collection of words on a screen. The impression it creates might be one of personal challenge or professional setback. The feeling you experience is real, but it is not a command. It is a signal to pause, to question the story your mind is instantly constructing. Is this feedback entirely without merit? Is the person's tone a reflection of their own pressure rather than my worth? Could there be a useful insight within the delivery I dislike? By creating this gap, you shift from being a passenger of your emotions to the pilot of your reasoned judgment. Imagine you receive sudden, critical feedback on a project you have poured your heart into. The initial impression is a wave of defensiveness and disappointment. Your heart rate quickens and a sharp reply forms in your mind. This is the important moment. Instead of launching that reply, you take a deliberate breath. You separate the event, the feedback, from your judgment about it. You ask yourself, what part of this is truly about the work, and what part is my own reaction to being challenged? You might find that the feedback, while poorly delivered, contains a valid point that could genuinely improve the outcome. Your response can then be measured and professional, acknowledging the input and focusing on the project's success, thereby maintaining your composure and your professional standing. Think back to a recent situation where you had a strong emotional reaction. It could have been a frustrating commute or a disagreement with a loved one. Can you identify the initial impression you automatically accepted? Was it the thought that this traffic is personally trying to ruin my day, or that this person's comment was a deliberate insult? Now, with the benefit of a little distance, ask yourself if that initial impression was the whole and objective truth, or merely one possible interpretation among others. This practice of thoughtful detachment is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It is about ensuring your actions are guided by your deepest values, not by the fleeting colors of a first impression. Your mind has a gatekeeper, and its name is judgment. This is the profound discipline of assent, the final step in the Stoic system where you consciously choose which thoughts to let pass the gates and which to turn away. It is the power to look at a first impression and say, I do not have to accept this as truth. Epictetus taught that this faculty of assent is completely within our power, a sacred space of freedom that no outside event can ever take from you. Composure is maintained not by pushing thoughts down, but by becoming a careful guardian of them, allowing passage only to those judgments that are accurate and that support your inner calm. When a sudden change happens, your initial impression might shout, "This is a disaster." That is the raw, unchallenged thought knocking at the gate. The discipline of assent is the moment you pause and ask, is it truly a disaster, or is it simply a difficult situation? You can choose to turn away the first judgment and instead grant your assent to a more truthful and virtuous one, such as, this is a test of my character and my ability to adapt. One belief leads to panic and helplessness, the other to clarity and purposeful action. Consider a major restructuring at your company. The automatic thought might be, my job is in immediate danger and I am going to lose everything. If you assent to that, your entire body and mind will react with fear. But if you exercise your gatekeeper's duty, you can examine that impression. Is it a fact that your job is gone, or is it a worry about what might happen? You can choose to assent to a more measured judgment, such as, the situation is uncertain, and my focus must be on showing my value and learning new requirements. This shift does not change the outside reality, but it completely changes how you experience it, letting you move through the uncertainty with your composure intact. For one full day, become a quiet observer of your own internal dialogue. Carry a small notebook or use a note on your phone. Without judgment, simply write down the automatic assent you give to passing thoughts. You might find you have agreed to the idea that a rainy day ruins your mood, or that a stranger's brief look was one of disapproval. The simple act of noticing these silent agreements is the first and most powerful step toward letting them go. You begin to see that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thoughts to believe. This is the ultimate source of your unshakable composure. What if seeking a little discomfort was the key to fearing it less? This is the provocative heart of a Stoic exercise known as voluntary discomfort, a deliberate practice of welcoming manageable challenges to build a spirit that remains steady when greater difficulties appear. In a world constantly seeking ease, this idea seems to run against the current, yet it is one of the most powerful ways to build resilience against the rapid, unpredictable changes life brings. By willingly stepping into small challenges, you prepare your mind for the surprise and unease of the unexpected ones. The Stoic teacher Seneca frequently advocated for this very practice. He suggested that we should sometimes live as if we had less, even if we have plenty, to remember that our peace does not depend on our external situation. He wrote that we must strengthen our minds by occasionally letting go of comforts, so that fortune cannot ever take from us anything we are afraid to lose. This is not about self-punishment, but about thoughtful training. It is the difference between a soldier who trains in all weather and one who only practices on sunny days. When the storm of change hits, which one will be better prepared? Consider modern, accessible ways to integrate this. You might choose to take a cold shower for the final minute, not for the physical thrill, but for the mental victory of guiding your own response to unease. You could decide to skip a meal not as a diet, but as a practice in realizing that you can manage a temporary need without lasting trouble. Perhaps you take a longer, more difficult walk to work, using the extra time and effort to practice patience and presence. Each small act is a vote for your own inner strength, a rehearsal for a time when you have no choice in the matter. The goal is to prove to yourself through direct experience that you can handle much more than you think. Your comfort zone is not a permanent home, but a temporary camp. By occasionally choosing to step beyond its borders, you learn the landscape of your own resilience, making the entire world feel less intimidating. So this week, choose one small, voluntary challenge. It could be as simple as turning off the heating in your car for a short drive, or spending an evening without any digital screens. Observe what happens in your mind. Do you feel an initial resistance, a pull toward the easier path? And more importantly, what do you feel after you have moved through it? That quiet confidence, that knowledge that you are stronger than your situation, is the very essence of composure being built, one chosen step at a time. The past is gone, the future is unknown, all you ever have is now. This simple truth holds a profound power for quieting the noise of rapid change. Anxiety is almost always a story we tell ourselves about what might happen next, a relentless rehearsal for futures that may never arrive. Stoicism directs our attention away from these imagined scripts and back to the only place where we can actually live and act, this single, fleeting moment. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this in his private journal. He wrote that we should concentrate every hour like a Roman, like a human being, on doing the task at hand with precise and genuine seriousness. He was not telling himself to ignore the bigger picture, but to find his power and his peace within the small, manageable sphere of the present. When you are overwhelmed by the sheer scale of a project or a life transition, this focus becomes your anchor. Imagine facing a mountain of work that seems impossible to climb. The Stoic approach is not to stare in dread at the distant summit, but to look down at your feet and take the very next step. You cannot complete the entire report in this instant, but you can write one email. You cannot resolve a complex personal challenge all at once, but you can have one calm, honest conversation. By narrowing your world to the single action directly in front of you, you drain the future of its overwhelming power and reclaim your capacity for effective action. This present moment is the only point of contact you truly have with your own life. Worry pulls you into a tomorrow you cannot control, while regret chains you to a yesterday you cannot change. The practice of staying present is the practice of claiming your freedom. So bring your awareness to this second. Identify one small, concrete thing you can do right now to move something forward in your life. It does not need to be grand. It could be organizing a single drawer, sending a short message, or simply taking 5 minutes to plan your day. Whatever you choose, do it with your full and complete attention. Feel the weight of the pen in your hand, hear the sound of your own breathing, notice the light in the room. In that focused engagement with the now, you will find a composure that no uncertain future can ever shake. Courage is not the absence of fear, but action guided by wisdom in spite of it. This Stoic definition transforms courage from a superhuman trait into a practical discipline available to anyone. In the whirlwind of rapid change, where fear is a natural and instinctive response, courage becomes the conscious decision to act from principle rather than panic. It is the quiet voice that chooses the right path even when the easier one beckons. The philosopher Seneca wrote extensively on this, advising that a wise person can be shaken but never truly defeated, because their actions remain aligned with virtue. He suggested that we should face uncertain outcomes with a calm mind, not by pretending the danger does not exist, but by trusting in our capacity to meet it with reason and integrity. Consider the decision to start a new business venture during a period of economic instability. The fear of not succeeding is real and palpable. The courageous act, in the Stoic sense, is not to ignore those fears, but to acknowledge them fully while still moving forward with a well-reasoned plan. It means doing the research, preparing for various outcomes, and taking the first step because the action itself is aligned with your values of creativity and service, not because a successful outcome is guaranteed. Similarly, having a difficult but necessary conversation with a loved one requires this form of courage. The worry about disagreement or causing discomfort is present, yet the virtuous action, the one that honors truth and the relationship, is to speak with kindness and honesty. The goal is not a fear-free life, but a life where fear does not hold the reins. Where in your own life is fear currently acting as a quiet governor, limiting a decision that you know is right? It might be a career move you are hesitating to make, or an apology you have been putting off. Identify that one area. Then, today, commit to one small, tangible step that moves you forward, not when the fear is gone, but right through the middle of it. That single step, no matter how minor it seems, is the very essence of Stoic courage in action. Stoic apathy is not about feeling nothing, it is about not being enslaved by irrational emotions. The ancient Greeks called this state Apatheia, a freedom from the destructive passions that hijack our reason and shatter our composure. This is a vital distinction in our modern world, where we are often told to either suppress our feelings or be completely controlled by them. The Stoics offered a wiser middle path. They saw a clear difference between our initial, natural feelings and the turbulent storms of passion we sometimes allow those feelings to become. A healthy feeling is a brief, involuntary reaction, a flash of surprise or a pang of disappointment. A destructive passion is that same feeling fed and amplified by our unchecked judgments, turning a moment of concern into a consuming anxiety or a flicker of irritation into a raging fury. The Stoic ideal was the sage who, guided by reason, experiences what they called smooth-flowing emotions, a state of inner harmony where feelings are acknowledged but do not commandeer one's virtue or peace of mind. Imagine receiving unexpected news, perhaps a sudden change in a project deadline. The initial, healthy feeling might be a jolt of surprise. A passionate, irrational reaction would be to immediately spiral into frustration, assigning blame and imagining the worst possible outcome, your judgment completely clouded by the emotional tempest. The response, guided by Apatheia, is to notice the surprise, accept its presence, and then turn your focus to a calm and reasoned assessment. What are the new facts of the situation? What constructive actions can I take right now? This is not emotional coldness, it is emotional clarity, a reclaiming of your mental space from the chaos of unchecked reaction. Think back to the last time a strong passion like frustration or envy truly clouded your judgment. What was the true cost of that emotional takeover? Did it lead to words you later wished you could take back, a decision made from a place of worry rather than facts, or perhaps simply the loss of an entire afternoon to a simmering frustration that solved nothing? That cost is the precise toll from which the practice of Apatheia is designed to free you, restoring your inner counsel to its rightful ruler, a calm and discerning reason. The river does not fight the current, it becomes the current. For the Stoics, this natural flow is the essence of a rational universe they called the Logos, a profound intelligence weaving through all things. True composure is found not in resisting this current of life, but in learning to move with its direction. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on this from his tent during long campaigns, writing that whatever happens to you has been waiting to happen since the beginning of time. He saw the interconnected causes of reality as an unbroken chain, a vast tapestry where every thread, even the most challenging one, has its necessary place. This perspective transforms our relationship with rapid change. When we see ourselves as isolated individuals being randomly shaken by chaos, we feel like victims. But when we recognize we are a single, integral part of a vast and ordered whole, the feeling of being personally targeted dissolves. The change is not an attack, it is simply the universe unfolding as it must, and our peace lies in cooperating with that unfolding. Picture a leaf floating on a mighty river. If the leaf fights the current, struggling to go upstream or clinging desperately to a branch, it is tossed and strained by the water. But if it relaxes and allows itself to be carried, it moves with a graceful, effortless flow. The river's power is the same in both cases. The only difference is the leaf's relationship to that power. Our struggle against external events is the struggle of that leaf. We exhaust ourselves fighting a force far greater than our solitary will, when the path to serenity is to trust the current and navigate its waters with skill. This week, find a quiet moment to simply sit in a natural space. Watch how a tree grows without force, how a stream finds its way around stones, how the seasons turn in their own time. Contemplate the deep, inherent order in these processes. Then, reflect on one area of your own life where you are currently resisting the flow. Where are you straining against a circumstance that simply is? What would it feel like to stop fighting the river and instead to adjust your sails, to use the very same energy that frustrates you as the force that carries you forward? Nothing is inherently good or bad until you judge it to be so. This single idea can dismantle the emotional turbulence that rapid change often brings. Our minds are quick to label every unexpected event, every shift in circumstance, as either a windfall or a catastrophe, and it is this very act of labeling that ignites our inner turmoil. The event itself is neutral, a simple fact. It is the story we instantly tell ourselves about it that holds the power to disturb our peace. Marcus Aurelius captured this truth with stunning simplicity in his private writings, advising himself, "Choose not to be harmed, and you will not feel harmed." This is not a denial of reality, but a reclaiming of your interpretive power. You are the one who ultimately decides what an event means for you. Consider the sudden announcement of a job transfer to a new city. The immediate, automatic judgment might be that this is a difficult disruption, an unwelcome uprooting of your life. This judgment brings anxiety, resistance, and frustration. But what if you could suspend that verdict? What if you could simply note the fact a job transfer has been announced without attaching the weighty label of bad to it? In the space created by that suspension, other possibilities can emerge. Perhaps this move introduces you to a new network of people, or teaches you resilience you never knew you needed. Maybe it aligns with a quiet wish for a fresh start you were hesitant to pursue. The event itself has not changed, but your relationship to it has been transformed from one of conflict to one of potential. The practice is to become an observer of your own mental chatter, to catch your mind in the act of assigning value. For the next 24 hours, make this your experiment. When an unexpected event occurs, from a minor inconvenience like a spilled coffee to a larger surprise like an unplanned expense, consciously respond with a simple, factual statement. Say to yourself, "This is what happened." Resist the urge to add, "and it is terrible," or "and it is wonderful." Just let the event be a fact for a moment. Notice the quiet that descends when you stop arguing with reality. In that quiet, you will find the clarity to see the situation for what it is, and to choose your response not from a place of reactive judgment, but from a center of unshakable composure. To love what you have, sometimes you must imagine life without it. This is the counterintuitive heart of a Stoic exercise known as negative visualization, a deliberate practice of contemplating the temporary nature of the people and things we hold dear. In a world urging us to acquire and cling tighter, this technique asks us to loosen our grasp, not out of pessimism, but as a profound method to deepen our gratitude and fortify our minds against the inevitable shifts of life. The Stoic philosopher Seneca often reflected on this idea in his letters. He advised that we should remember how all we love is merely on loan from fortune and can be reclaimed at any time without our consent. He was not teaching his readers to live in a state of fearful anticipation. but to periodically visit the thought of change in order to return to the present moment with a heart more fully open to the gifts already here. This mental rehearsal does not invite misfortune. It dismantles the power misfortune holds over our peace. It prepares the mind for a reality of rapid change where nothing external is truly permanent. Consider your own comfortable home, the place where you rest and feel secure. For a moment, close your eyes and vividly imagine it is gone. Picture the process of leaving it behind, the empty rooms that once held your laughter, the quiet where your life once was. Hold that image not to create sadness but to feel the full weight of its meaning. Then open your eyes and look around. See the light falling through the window, the familiar objects on the shelf, the comfort of your own space. Notice how the colors seem richer, the atmosphere more precious when you have consciously faced its potential absence. The practice works similarly with a valued relationship. Imagine for just a few minutes that a dear friend or family member is no longer present in your life. Contemplate the quiet that would follow, the absence of their unique voice and perspective. When you then return to the reality of their existence, your next conversation with them is often imbued with a deeper patience, a more present attention, a genuine thankfulness for their continued presence. This is the alchemy of negative visualization. It transforms taking for granted into active, heartfelt appreciation. So take the next 5 minutes. Choose one thing you truly cherish, whether it is your health, a specific person, or a personal freedom. Vividly imagine your daily life without it. Walk through the details of that reality in your mind. Then, gently release the thought and return to the present. Observe the feeling that arises toward that cherished part of your life now. Is it not sharper, more vivid, more deeply loved? This is not a practice of fear, but a quiet ritual of reclaiming the immense value of your own present moment. Your best-laid plans are always held with a silent, internal asterisk. This is the essence of the Stoic reserve clause, a simple mental addition that transforms how you pursue any goal in an uncertain world. It is the practice of undertaking every action with the quiet understanding of fate permitting. You commit your full effort to the process, while simultaneously releasing your rigid attachment to the specific outcome you envision. This is not a recipe for half-hearted attempts, but for wholehearted engagement without the accompanying strain of demanding that reality conform to your personal script. The great teacher Epictetus offered a clear formula for this mindset. He taught that in every affair you should consider what is up to you and what is not. He advised making the best use of what is in your power and then taking the rest as it naturally comes. The reserve clause is that final acceptance, taking the rest as it comes. It is the difference between saying I will succeed in this presentation and I will give this presentation my absolute best effort, fate permitting. The first statement sets you up for a very particular kind of frustration if an interruption occurs or the audience is not receptive. The second commits you to excellence while building a foundation of equanimity that no external result can easily shake. Imagine you have planned a long-awaited outdoor gathering for friends and family. You have put care into every detail. The Stoic approach is to hold this plan while softly adding the clause, weather permitting, in your own mind. This is not a superstitious jinx, it is a psychological preparation. If the sun shines, you enjoy it fully. If the rain comes, your peace is not washed away with it because you never claimed ultimate control over the skies. Your effort was in the preparation, an area within your power, while the weather itself was always in the domain of the external. Your equanimity remains intact because you built it on a truthful foundation. This week, choose one of your primary intentions. It could be a work deadline, a fitness goal, or a personal project. Now, consciously attach the reserve clause to it. Mentally affirm that you will pursue this goal with focused energy and virtue, fate permitting. Notice how this shifts your inner state. Does it introduce a sense of lightness, a slight reduction in the pressure you feel? This mental preparation for obstacles does not weaken your resolve. It strengthens your resilience, ensuring that your composure can remain steady no matter how the path ahead actually unfolds. Remembering that you will one day leave this life is not a morbid thought. It is a tool for vibrant living. This is the heart of the ancient Stoic practice known as Memento Mori, a Latin phrase meaning remember you must die. Far from being a dark fixation, this reflection serves as a powerful lens to bring your true priorities into sharp focus, cutting through the endless static of daily worries and imagined crises. When you hold the finite nature of your own time as a conscious awareness, the noisy distractions of life begin to quiet down. A harsh comment, a minor professional setback, a moment of embarrassment, these things lose their power to shatter your peace when viewed against the backdrop of your entire precious life. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius routinely turned to this thought to ground himself in what was essential. He wrote in his private journal, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. He was not encouraging a frantic rush, but a profound clarity, a reminder to infuse every single action with purpose and integrity, as if it truly mattered. Imagine you are about to enter a stressful meeting where tensions are high and opinions are clashing. Before you walk through that door, pause for just 10 seconds and bring this Stoic practice to mind. Silently remind yourself that your time is limited. From that elevated vantage point, ask which details in the coming conversation actually hold lasting importance. Is it the need to be right in every argument, or is it the opportunity to listen with genuine respect, to speak with honesty, and to uphold your own character regardless of the outcome? The small provocations and ego battles simply cannot maintain their intensity when you are anchored in this deeper perspective. Your focus shifts from winning a momentary debate to acting in a way you can be proud of, a shift that is the very essence of maintaining composure. So take a quiet moment for yourself and pose this reflective question. If this were the last year of my life, how would my priorities in facing rapid change fundamentally shift? Would you spend more energy clinging to outdated plans, or would you pour that same energy into appreciating the people beside you and acting with courage and kindness in each new circumstance? This practice does not ask you to dwell on an ending, but to revolutionize your beginning right here and right now. Within you is a place of perfect calm, untouched by external chaos. The Stoics called this the Inner Citadel, a fortress of the mind built brick by brick through the daily practice of their principles. This is not a physical location, but a profound state of inner sovereignty where your true self resides, secure and unassailable no matter what storms rage outside its walls. It is the ultimate source of the composure we have been exploring, the final sanctuary when change becomes overwhelming. Marcus Aurelius frequently spoke of retreating into this inner stronghold in his private writings. He reminded himself that now and then it is necessary to withdraw into yourself for renewal, for nowhere can you find a more peaceful and trouble-free retreat than in your own soul. He was not advising escape from responsibility, but a conscious return to the core of one's being, where reason rules and external events are seen for what they truly are, mere impressions. This mental sanctuary is constructed through every act of withholding assent from a rash judgment, every moment you choose Amor, Fati, and every time you view a challenge from above. Each practice adds another layer to its walls, making it more resilient with every use. Imagine yourself in a loud, stressful environment, perhaps a crowded airport terminal during a cascade of flight cancellations. All around you, voices are raised in frustration, announcements blare with difficult news, and the energy is thick with anxiety. Someone anchored in their inner citadel stands in that same space, experiencing the same sounds and sights, yet they are not of that chaos. They can mentally withdraw to a place of quiet observation. They notice the frustration without being consumed by it. They hear the announcements without letting them dictate their emotional state. Their inner peace remains intact not because the situation is pleasant, but because they have a fortified place to stand within themselves. They can then act from a center of calm, perhaps helping others or finding a constructive solution, rather than simply reacting to the turmoil. So take a moment now to close your eyes and visualize your own inner citadel. What does it look like? Is it a quiet library, a sunlit garden, a simple, sturdy room? What does it feel like to be there? Notice the sense of solidity, the quiet, the profound safety. This is your mental command center, the place you can return to with a single, conscious breath. The next time you feel the first stirrings of overwhelm, practice going there. Let the noise of the world become a distant hum outside your walls, and reconnect with the unshakable peace that is always and has always been your birthright. The Stoics saw themselves as citizens of the world, connected to all of humanity. This profound sense of belonging is rooted in their principle of Sympatheia, the understanding that the entire cosmos is a single, living organism, and we are its interconnected parts. When you feel alone in your struggles, isolated by the pace of change, this ancient idea offers a powerful antidote to personal turmoil. It reframes your individual challenges not as singular burdens, but as threads in the vast, shared tapestry of human experience. Marcus Aurelius frequently turned to this thought to steady his mind against the pressures of leadership and personal hardship. He reminded himself that rational beings exist for the sake of one another, and that to be upset with someone is to forget they are your kinsmen. You share the same nature, the same capacity for reason, and the same fundamental desire for well-being, even if your paths to finding it look wildly different. Recognizing this shared foundation does not mean you must agree with everyone, but it allows you to approach conflict with compassion rather than contempt. Consider a recent global event, perhaps a natural event that displaced communities or a widespread economic shift. While the details are unique, the underlying human experiences of uncertainty, the need for adaptation, and the hope for security are universal. Your own professional uncertainty during a company restructuring is a specific expression of that same universal human encounter with change. Seeing your situation within this larger context can soften the sharp edges of personal anxiety, replacing a feeling of isolated difficulty with a sense of common humanity. This perspective is a quiet form of courage, allowing you to face your own challenges while still holding space for the experiences of others. Bring to mind one person with whom you are currently experiencing tension or disagreement. For a moment, set aside the specifics of the conflict and try to see the world through their eyes. They are, like you, a fellow human being acting according to their own reasoning, shaped by their own experiences and concerns. They are pursuing what they believe to be good, just as you are. This shift in viewpoint does not require you to surrender your own position, but it can dissolve the illusion that you are on opposing teams in a grand battle. You are both members of the same world city, navigating the same river of change, each from your own unique vessel. For a Stoic, the quality of the action matters more than the result. This is the heart of the discipline of action, where your focus shifts from what you get to who you become in the process. Your character is not shaped by the outcomes you achieve, but by the integrity you show while pursuing them. When rapid change makes results uncertain, this focus on the virtuous process itself becomes your anchor, a stable source of composure that no external verdict can shake. The philosopher Epictetus taught that our task is not to control every outcome, but to play our assigned role well. He compared life to a play where we do not choose the script, but we are fully responsible for the quality of our performance. This mindset frees you to pour your full effort into your work, not because success is guaranteed, but because doing so with excellence is the right expression of your own nature. Imagine you are leading a critical project at work, one that could meaningfully advance your team's goals. The Stoic approach is to dedicate yourself completely to the process, to the research, the collaboration, the careful execution, acting with diligence and integrity at every stage. You focus on what is within your power, the quality of your contribution. Meanwhile, you hold the final outcome, whether it is celebrated or quietly set aside with a light grasp. The project's ultimate fate depends on market conditions, client decisions, and countless other factors beyond your direct command. By investing your self-worth in your effort and virtue rather than the unpredictable result, you protect your inner peace from the turbulence of fortune. Your composure remains steady because it is rooted in the one thing you truly control, your intention to act for the common good. Today, choose one single task, whether it is writing an email, preparing a meal, or completing a routine assignment. Decide to perform it with quiet excellence, not for the praise or reward it might bring, but for the simple, profound reason that it is the right thing to do. Notice the subtle shift in your energy when you detach from the need for a specific recognition. There is a freedom in acting well for its own sake that no external result can ever give or take away. The same event can be a catastrophe or a classroom, depending entirely on the story you tell yourself about it. This cognitive skill of reframing is central to Stoic composure, transforming a narrative of feeling powerless into one of personal agency. It is the conscious choice to seek the hidden lesson within the hardship, to find the training ground for virtue where others might only see a barrier. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly practiced this shift in his own mind, advising himself that the obstacle to an action often advances the action itself, and what stands in the way becomes the way. He was not denying the reality of the challenge, but actively reinterpreting its role in his life from a blocker to a teacher. This reframing is how you find meaning and opportunity where neither seem to exist. Consider the common frustration of being stuck in a traffic jam. The automatic, powerless feeling story is one of lost time and pointless aggravation. But when you consciously choose an agent's narrative, the entire experience changes. This is no longer wasted time. It is a protected space to practice patience, a rare moment of stillness to listen to a full chapter of an audiobook, or simply to observe your own thoughts without immediate demands. The external circumstance is identical, but your internal world has shifted from one of resistance to one of purpose. The traffic did not change, your relationship to it did. This is the power you hold over every disruptive event. Take a current source of frustration in your own life. It could be a delayed project, a difficult interaction, or a personal goal that feels out of reach. Now take out a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Write down 3 different, more empowering ways to interpret this exact same situation. Could this delay be creating space for a better idea to emerge? Is this challenging person inadvertently teaching you a new level of empathy or boundary setting? Could this feeling of being stuck be the necessary friction that finally pushes you toward a new direction? By generating multiple frames, you reclaim your authority as the author of your own experience, discovering that composure lies not in controlling events, but in mastering the stories you build around them. Unmet expectations are a primary source of distress. Stoics aim to expect what is likely, not what is wished for. In periods of rapid change, This distinction becomes the difference between navigating the current with resilience and being pulled under by the waves of disappointment. When our mental picture of the future is painted with the colors of our desires rather than the lines of reason, every shift in reality feels like a personal betrayal. The Stoic practice is to build our anticipations on the solid ground of nature and probability, not the shifting sands of fantasy. Seneca explored this deeply in his letters, observing that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Much of that imagined distress is born from an expectation that life will follow our preferred script, a script we have written without consulting the director. The ache of a disrupted plan often outweighs the actual inconvenience of the new circumstance, because we are not just dealing with a change of events, we are grappling with the collapse of a story we told ourselves. Consider the professional landscape where a coveted promotion is on the line. The common approach is to invest all hope in that single outcome, to pin our sense of worth and future happiness on a yes. The Stoic prepares differently. They put in the work, they demonstrate their value, they act with virtue and diligence, all within their control. Simultaneously, they hold the outcome itself with open hands. They rationally assess that many factors influence the final decision, factors outside their command. They prepare their mind for either result. If the promotion comes, it is met with grateful responsibility. If it does not, the disappointment is acknowledged but not catastrophic, because their peace was never fully mortgaged to that one possibility. Their composure remains intact because their expectation was rooted in a truthful assessment of the situation, not a fragile daydream. Where in your own life have you tied your emotional stability to a specific, wished-for outcome? It might be in a relationship, a financial goal, or even the expectation of a perfectly smooth day. Identify that one area now, then gently ask yourself, what is the most probable reality based on reason and past experience, not on fear or desire? Adjusting your expectation to align with that probability is not lowering your standards, it is raising your wisdom, and in doing so, you reclaim a profound and steadying peace. The Stoics ended their day not with entertainment but with honest self-assessment. This nightly ritual, known as an evening review, was their tool for turning daily life into a training ground for composure. It is a quiet, methodical process of looking back over the hours with the gentle eyes of a coach, not the harsh glare of a critic. Seneca wrote about this practice in his work on anger, describing how he would question his own soul each night. He asked, "What habit have you improved today? What challenge have you met? In what way are you growing?" His goal was not to dwell on missteps, but to chart his progress in the art of living, ensuring each day added another layer to his inner strength. This is how philosophy moves from abstract idea to lived reality, through the deliberate act of reflection. The practice is straightforward. Find a few moments of quiet before sleep. Mentally walk back through your day from the morning onward. Look for those specific moments where your composure was tested. Perhaps it was a sudden change in plans that sparked a reaction, or a comment that triggered a defensive feeling. Examine that moment with curiosity. What was the initial thought that you automatically accepted? Did you see the traffic delay as a personal inconvenience, or the cancelled meeting as a professional setback? Then consider how a Stoic principle could have been applied. Could you have used the view from above to see the minor delay in the context of your whole week? Might the discipline of assent have helped you pause before sending that quick reply? This is not about self-criticism. It is about recognizing the space between reaction and response and resolving to close that space tomorrow. For the next 3 nights, try this brief review. Ask yourself just 2 questions as you lie in the dark. Where did I allow outside events to disturb my peace today? And where did I act with virtue, with patience, or with courage? This simple audit transforms your days from a series of passing events into a continuous curriculum for building the steady calm you seek. The past is a stone, you cannot change it, only learn from it and move on. This Stoic teaching on acceptance cuts directly against our instinct to replay and regret what has already happened. When we dwell on moments we wish had been different, we are pouring our present energy into a vault that is permanently locked. That energy is then lost to us, unavailable for navigating the very real challenges and opportunities unfolding right now. Marcus Aurelius offered a clear directive on this in his private writings, reminding himself that the past is beyond our concern. He wrote that you should not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about other people, unless you are bringing those thoughts into connection with some public benefit. His focus was relentlessly forward, on the application of reason to the present moment, not on the unchangeable script of yesterday. Consider a past business venture that did not succeed. The common response is to cycle through feelings of regret, to mentally rehearse different decisions, or to harbor frustration about the outcome. The Stoic acknowledges the event with simple clarity. Yes, the venture ended. They then extract whatever practical lessons are available, perhaps about market timing or partnership dynamics. Having done that, they consciously release the event itself, along with the emotional weight of that experience. Their focus shifts entirely to the present landscape, applying those hard-won lessons to new actions, free from the anchor of past disappointment. This is not about forgetting the past, but about freeing yourself from its endless repetition. Bring to mind one event from your own history that you still find yourself revisiting with a sense of regret or frustration. It might be a word spoken in haste, a missed opportunity, or a choice that led to a difficult outcome. For a moment, hold that memory, then consciously affirm to yourself that this event is a stone fixed in place and unalterable. Your power does not lie in changing its shape, but in choosing whether to continue carrying its weight. Today, make the choice to set it down, to reclaim that energy for the living present, where your composure and your future are actually being built. Temperance is the inner strength that helps you avoid overreacting when things do not go your way. In the Stoic tradition, this is one of the 4 core virtues, a form of self-mastery that guides our wants and our responses, making sure our actions stay thoughtful and in proportion to what actually happened. It is the quiet practice of choosing a reflective pause instead of a heated reply, a steady understanding rather than a passive surrender. During times of fast change, this quality serves as your personal stabilizer, keeping the emotional waves of the moment from steering your decisions. The philosopher Seneca wrote a great deal about this, describing temperance as the balance that brings harmony to the spirit, helping it stay calm and centered through both favorable and difficult situations. He viewed it as the essential anchor to those hasty impulses that can sometimes cloud our thinking. Imagine getting an email with unexpected and disappointing news, maybe a sudden cancellation of a project you have poured your heart into. The untrained reaction is instant. A rush of frustration prompts a quickly written message, filled with pointed questions and letdown, something you may wish you had not sent once those first feelings settle. The temperate approach, shaped by this virtue, looks completely different. You sense the same initial surprise, but you deliberately call upon that inner strength. You close the email, you take a slow breath, maybe stepping away from your desk for a little while. You let that first impression soften. Then, from a place of recovered calm, you write a reply that aims to understand the circumstances rather than just react to them. Your message is considered professional and keeps the way open for positive next steps. The situation itself was the same, but your inner guidance changed the result. This is the real-life power of temperance at work. Today, pick one small moment as your practice space. The next time you feel a flicker of annoyance or the pull to voice a quick, strong opinion, try this simple gesture of restraint. Before you speak or type a single word, pause for the length of 3 full seconds. In that short, intentional silence, you are not being inactive. You are actively strengthening the very capacity for temperance, making sure your calm remains yours to hold. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius wrote those words not in a time of peace, but from the front lines of conflict and personal struggle. He was pointing to a radical truth that the very thing blocking your path is not a detour from your journey. It is the terrain of the journey itself. Every challenge is a kind of raw material supplied by life for you to craft a stronger, more resilient character. When you face an obstacle, you are being handed a specific training tool to practice a particular virtue. A difficult person might be your trainer in patience. A sudden setback could be your instructor in humility and perseverance. The obstacle is not an interruption to your composure. It is the gym where your composure gets its workout. This shift in perspective transforms your entire relationship with difficulty. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this asking me to practice?" Consider a modern scenario, a complete technological failure right before a critical virtual presentation. Your computer crashes, your internet fails, the digital tools you rely on vanish. The initial reaction is panic and frustration, a sense of being completely derailed. But viewed through this Stoic lens, the obstacle itself reveals the opportunity. It demands that you practice resourcefulness, forcing you to find a simpler, more direct way to communicate, perhaps by phone or in person. It invites you to practice adaptability, letting go of a perfect, polished plan and embracing a more human, imperfect connection. The presentation might even become more memorable and authentic because of the very limitation you overcame. The failure of technology becomes the success of your own ingenuity. So bring to mind one current obstacle in your own life. It might be a strained relationship, a financial pressure, or a personal goal that feels out of reach. Now look directly at that barrier and ask this single question. What one specific virtue is this situation demanding that I practice? Is it calling for greater courage to have a difficult conversation? Is it requiring deeper patience as you work through a slow and tedious process? Or does it need a more creative approach to find a solution you have not yet seen? Name that virtue. By identifying the quality being asked of you, you reclaim your agency. The obstacle is no longer a wall, but a doorway to becoming a more complete version of yourself. Stoic calm is a product of practice, not chance. That unshakable composure you have been learning about is not a personality trait you are simply born with. It is a skill crafted in the small, quiet moments of your everyday life, forged through the deliberate repetition of philosophical habits. The entire system of principles you have explored only comes alive when you move it from your mind into your muscles, making those reasoned responses your automatic default when change arrives. This is the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. The philosopher Epictetus drove this point home with unforgettable clarity. He taught that you must practice philosophy like a carpenter practices woodworking or a musician practices their scales. No one expects to pick up a chisel for the first time and carve a masterpiece, or to sit at a piano and immediately play a symphony. Why would we expect the far more complex art of living well to require any less consistent, hands-on training? Your mind is your primary tool, and it demands the same daily sharpening. Think of it exactly like physical exercise. You would not try to lift a heavy weight without any prior training and expect your body to comply. You start with smaller weights, consistent repetitions, building the strength and muscle memory over weeks and months. The moment of a major life transition, A sudden career shift or a personal challenge is like that heavy weight. The daily practice of applying the dichotomy of control to a minor inconvenience or taking a view from above on a stressful afternoon is your repetition with a lighter weight. Each small practice session strengthens the neural pathways of composure, so when the true test comes, your mind does not default to panic. It defaults to the trained, familiar path of reason. This is how you build a fortress of the mind, not in a single day, but one brick, one habit at a time. So now, the choice is yours to move from learning to living. Look back over the practices you have connected with most. Choose just one. It could be the evening review of your day, or the morning commitment to the reserve clause. Perhaps it is the simple, daily act of mentally separating what is within your control from what is not. Commit to performing that single practice with gentle consistency for the next 21 days. Do not seek perfection, only faithful repetition. Watch what happens as the philosophy slowly leaves the page and becomes a part of you, transforming your innate potential for peace into a lived, unshakable reality. The Stoic sage is an ideal we aim towards, knowing we will never perfectly arrive. This figure of perfect wisdom and virtue is not meant to be a source of discouragement, but a guiding star in the night sky. You do not navigate by grabbing hold of the star. You use its constant position to correct your course when you drift. The ancient Stoics openly acknowledged that the sage was an exceptionally rare individual, perhaps even a purely theoretical model. Yet they insisted that the sincere pursuit of this ideal was the very substance of a virtuous life. It is the striving that transforms us. When you contemplate what it means to be perfectly composed, entirely just, and completely courageous, you are given a clear standard against which to measure your own progress. It is not about berating yourself for falling short, but about having a definitive direction for your growth. In a moment of rising frustration, you can create a powerful pause by asking yourself a simple question. What would the sage do in this exact situation? This is not about pretending to be a different person, but about accessing the wisest part of yourself. The sage would not be controlled by the initial surge of irritation. They would see the situation with clarity, separate what is within their control from what is not, and choose a response aligned with reason and the common good. That single question can be the mental lever that pries open a space between your trigger and your reaction, allowing a more considered action to emerge. Think of one quality of the sage that resonates most deeply with you right now. Is it their unwavering courage in the face of fear, their profound sense of justice in all their dealings, or perhaps their unshakable calm amidst chaos? Choose just one. For the next week, make that chosen quality your personal theme. Observe how it feels to consciously bring a little more of that specific virtue into your daily interactions and private challenges. This is how an impossible ideal becomes a practical, living force, gently shaping your journey toward a more composed and resilient life. Let's weave these threads into a simple daily practice you can start tomorrow. A Stoic day begins not with checking your phone, but with claiming your mind. In the first quiet moments of the morning, set your intention using the dichotomy of control. Ask yourself, what is truly within my power today? My judgments, my efforts, my responses. Everything else, from my manager's mood to the traffic on my commute, I will meet as it comes. Then spend just 1 minute with the Premeditation of Challenges. Briefly and calmly consider what obstacles the day might hold. A difficult conversation, a delayed project, a moment of frustration. This is not to invite worry, but to disarm it, ensuring you are mentally prepared to meet any event with reason. The philosopher Epictetus captured the power of this cumulative effort, teaching that no great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig is. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. Your composure is that fruit, grown from the daily cultivation of small, consistent actions. Imagine a day built on this framework. Your morning intention is set. During your commute, traffic grinds to a halt. Instead of a surge of frustration, you practice cognitive detachment. The traffic jam is an external event, a fact. Your judgment that it is a personal inconvenience is the optional story you can choose not to buy. You hold your plan to arrive on time with the reserve clause, fate permitting, and use the unexpected time to listen to an inspiring book. Later, a critical email arrives. You feel the initial impression, but you create that vital space. You apply the discipline of assent, questioning the story your mind is telling you before you hit reply. Your response is measured and professional, a direct result of your morning preparation. As evening falls, you conduct your review. You look back without judgment, noting where you applied your principles well and where you might strengthen your practice tomorrow. Now the framework is yours to adapt. What would a simple 5-minute Stoic morning ritual look like for you, built from the principles that resonated most deeply? It might be 60 seconds of reflecting on what you value to appreciate your well-being, followed by mentally affirming the reserve clause for your main goal of the day, and closing with a moment to visualize your inner strength. This is not about adding more tasks to your day, but about changing the quality of every task you already perform, infusing them with a steady and resilient calm. Your composure is not a fragile state to be found, but a resilient skill to be built. Throughout this journey, we have explored a complete system for maintaining your inner stability when the world feels most uncertain. The foundation of this system is the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy, a practical toolkit for the modern soul. At its heart are 3 transformative tools. The Dichotomy of Control teaches you to invest your energy only where it truly counts. Amor Fati invites you to embrace every twist of fate as fuel for your growth. And cognitive detachment gives you the power to pause between an event and your reaction, choosing a response rooted in your values rather than your first impression. These are not just ideas, they are muscles you can strengthen every single day. Seneca, in his profound letters, captured the ultimate reward of this practice. He wrote that the person who has aligned their life with reason and nature enjoys a constant and unshakable peace. This is the peace that comes not from a life without challenge, but from a mind trained to meet any challenge with clarity and strength. Remember, this is a lifelong practice, not a quick fix. It is the quiet, daily work of returning to your principles, of building your inner citadel brick by brick. As we conclude, here is a question to carry with you. Of all the principles we have discussed, which one will you choose to focus on for the coming week? Will it be the evening review of your day, or the morning intention to hold your plans with an open hand? Your journey toward unshakable composure begins with that single, conscious choice. If you found this guide valuable, consider subscribing for more practical wisdom to navigate life's changes with grace. And we would love to hear from you in the comments. What has your own experience with these Stoic practices been like?